Cowboy and his donkey got lost in a blizzard, found stone hut. What they found there will shock you. The blizzard came down from the mountains like a living thing, fast and merciless, swallowing the land whole. One moment the world was white and wide, the next it was nothing but roaring wind and stabbing ice. Caleb Hart pulled his coat tighter around his chest, the leather stiff with frost, his beard already crusted with snow. Beside him, stubborn as ever, trudged Amos, the small gray donkey he'd raised from a foal, the only soul who'd stayed with him after the ranch burned and the town turned its back. Caleb had planned to cross the ridge before nightfall, but the storm had other ideas. The sky vanished. The trail disappeared. Even the sound of his own breath seemed to get ripped away by the wind. Amos brayed once, low and anxious, planting his hooves as if the earth itself were trying to warn them. Caleb rested a hand on the donkey's neck, feeling the tremble beneath the thick winter hair. "Easy, boy," he muttered, though his own voice shook. He'd survived hard winters before, but this one felt different, angrier, colder, personal. They walked blind for what felt like hours, the cold gnawing deeper with every step, until Caleb's legs started to burn and his thoughts drifted in dangerous directions. He remembered his wife's laugh, bright as summer water, and how it vanished the night she never came home. He remembered the way people stopped meeting his eyes after the fire, how loneliness could freeze a man faster than snow ever could. Amos suddenly stopped again, refusing to move, tugging the rope hard enough to snap Caleb back to the present. That's when he saw it, a dark shape rising out of the white, barely visible through the spinning snow. Stone walls. A roof bowed with age. A hut, half-buried and forgotten, standing where nothing should have stood at all. Caleb's heart thudded with cautious hope. Structures meant warmth. Shelter meant survival. He led Amos closer, boots crunching against ice-hard drifts, until his gloved hand touched cold stone. The door was wooden, thick, ancient, carved with strange symbols that looked older than the land itself. He hesitated. Every instinct told him this place had a story, one no one had lived to tell. The wind screamed louder, as if daring him to turn back, but turning back meant death. He shoved the door open. Inside, the air was shockingly still. The wind vanished like it had been shut out by force. A single oil lamp flickered to life on the far wall the moment they stepped in, though Caleb hadn't touched a thing. The warmth hit him so suddenly his knees nearly buckled. Amos let out a soft, relieved sound, shaking snow from his coat. The hut was larger inside than it looked from outside, walls lined with shelves, old tools neatly arranged, a heavy table at the center. And then Caleb saw the footprints. They were fresh. Bare human footprints. Leading from the door, to nowhere. Caleb's pulse spiked. No fire burned. No voices spoke. Yet the place felt occupied, watched. He reached for the knife at his belt just as the door behind them slammed shut on its own. The lamp flared brighter, throwing long shadows across the walls. Amos backed up, pressing against Caleb, ears pinned flat. That was when Caleb noticed the photographs, dozens of them, pinned along the far wall. Black and white. Old. Faces stared back at him, men and women frozen in time, eyes hollow. And at the center of them all was a photograph of himself, standing beside Amos, taken from behind, wearing the same coat he wore now. His breath caught in his throat, Caleb staggered back from the wall, heart hammering so hard it drowned out every thought. The photograph was impossible. He had never been here before. No one could have taken it. Yet there it was, proof that this hut knew him, had been waiting for him. Amos suddenly stiffened, staring toward the back of the room where a second doorway stood, half hidden behind hanging pelts. From beyond it came a slow, rhythmic sound, breathing. Not the frantic breath of a man freezing, but deep, measured, patient. Caleb tightened his grip on the knife and stepped forward, every instinct screaming danger. He pushed the pelts aside and froze. Inside the back room sat a man, or what remained of one, wrapped in heavy wool, seated upright in a wooden chair. His skin was pale as snow, his eyes closed, his body perfectly still. At first Caleb thought he was dead. Then the man's eyes opened. They were bright. Clear. Alive. "I was wondering when you'd arrive," the stranger said calmly, his voice echoing unnaturally in the small space. Caleb demanded answers, but the man only smiled, a sad, knowing smile. He explained that the hut was a place caught between moments, appearing only to those on the edge, between life and death, despair and hope. Every photograph on the wall was someone who had once stumbled in during a storm like this one. Some left changed. Some never left at all. The man in the chair. He had been the keeper. For decades. Maybe centuries. Time did not work the same here. And now, the hut had chosen a replacement. Caleb felt the weight of every loss he'd buried come crashing down. The fire. The town. The woman he loved. He realized the hut hadn't lured him, it had answered him. All those nights he'd prayed for an end to the pain, not caring how it came. The keeper leaned forward. "You can stay," he said gently. "No more storms. No more loss. Or you can leave, and carry your pain back into the world." Caleb looked at Amos, who stood quietly, eyes steady and trusting. The donkey had followed him through fire, hunger, loneliness, and now a blizzard that should have killed them both. Amos hadn't given up. And neither, Caleb realized, had he. He refused the offer. The keeper nodded, relief flooding his ancient face. The hut began to tremble. The photographs peeled from the walls, dissolving into dust. The lamp dimmed. Wind howled again as the door burst open. Snow rushed in, but so did dawn light. Caleb woke up outside, lying in fresh snow beside Amos, the storm gone as if it had never been. No hut. No footprints. Only the mountain, silent and vast. They found their way home that morning. Years later, people would swear they saw a stone hut on the ridge during the worst storms, always just out of reach. And sometimes, survivors claimed a man and a donkey appeared from nowhere, guiding them to safety before vanishing into the snow. If this story moved you, if it reminded you that even in your darkest storm you still have a choice, then subscribe to this channel. Because stories like this aren't just entertainment, they're reminders that hope can survive even the coldest blizzard. And sometimes, it walks beside you on 4 stubborn hooves.